There is this Netflix series I watched a little while back. And in this Netflix series, I'm not going to spoil everything, but I'm not even going to spoil it, but I'm going to explain what the theme is of this Netflix series. And when I remember the name, I'll put it down in the description section. It's about an Australian town, I believe in 2016 or something. You have this police officer who goes to the graveyard because there has been some call that something weird's going on in the graveyard. So he arrives at the graveyard, and who does he see there? His deceased wife. His wife died of cancer a while back, I believe it was 2 years or several months, I'm not sure, but the wife died of cancer and he remarried after she died. So when he sees his wife, he's thinking, what? His wife was risen from the dead and she got out of the grave with her own hands. But more people got out of the grave. There was a guy, a British soldier, that died during the First World War. There was the founder of that Australian town, a British officer that became mayor there during the colonial era. There was a British sailor with an Australian accent that was executed there in Australia by the colonial authorities in 1833, I believe. So you had various people that were back from the dead. Also a woman who died only a few decades back. You had a girl of 17 years old, I believe. She was killed by a guy that wanted to rape her in the 1980s. So various people were back from the dead. And those people who were back from the dead did not want to believe that they were back from the dead. They thought that's not possible. But when they saw evidence of how the world around them was different, they even saw the date, they realized, whoa, we are truly resurrected from the dead. And all of them were asking, why were we brought back from the dead? The guy, that British sailor that was risen, was not aware where he was. He later discovered it. Now, we know that this is a fictional story. We know that the dead will rise when Christ returns. So what did the makers of that series want to tell us? Because all those movies and series are made by the world. They are made to reveal something to you, or to condition you, or to teach you something. They're not made just for entertainment. Now we use it for entertainment and they present it to us as entertainment, but it's all to condition you. Now, what that series revealed was that all those people that died, whether it's that founder of that Australian town, he was murdered by one of his own. I believe it was his own son, but anyway, he was murdered by one of his own through betrayal. You had that British sailor, he was the scapegoat, so he was blamed for murders he did not commit. You had that teenage girl killed due to some scumbag that just wanted to have his way, who couldn't hear the word no when a woman said it. So all those characters, they were snatched away. Their lives ended just like that. And when you examine the story of the series carefully, you would realize that, hold on a minute, these figures, these characters, could have remained alive for a longer time if they were just watchful of their environment. I've explained unto you often that worldlings want to be unconscious, they want to be left alone, they want relief. And that is this attitude of theirs that puts them in danger. Many worldlings die before their time, either through accidents or by sickness or by violence, while they could have lived for a few more decades. Why do they die before their time? Because they're not alert. For example, that girl that ended up dead by that other Australian guy that just wanted to have his way sexually, she could have avoided that whole bad situation by just staying at home. There was this party going on at the lake and she joined the party, and at the party one of the guys got drunk and he just wanted to have his way. Now, if she would have examined the situation and realized, okay, these guys are known to be a bit out of control when they drink alcohol. Why did she attend the party anyway? Because she wanted to have a good time, but okay, you want to have a good time, but where does the good time happen? Let's go to this wife, or you have to say ex-wife of this police officer that died of cancer. When she was risen from the dead, and she figured out that her husband was now married to her best friend, and little by little she figured out that behind the scenes, her best friend was really envious of her married to that man. So there were a lot of things going on that she was not aware of. And all of those things contributed to her becoming sick. Because I mentioned before to you, things as cancer or tumors or terminal illnesses are often the result of psychic violence. So she realized after being risen from the dead that the individual was her best friend who supported her when she was dying was not her best friend at all. So what should have happened is, while she was still alive, she should have examined the people she was around. If she would have examined all the people around her, she would realize, okay, this so-called best friend of mine, she's quite introverted. She has issues that are unresolved. She doesn't want to face. Okay, if she has issues that are unresolved because she doesn't want to face them, then the chance of her projecting those issues onto me or other people is always there. So she may be a risk for me in the future, especially now that I'm getting married and she is still single because she doesn't want to work on herself. If she would have just looked at the bigger picture, would realize, okay, maybe I should lower contact with this individual. Maybe I'm better off with this individual out of my life. If she would have done that, she would not have developed that terminal sickness, and she would have still been alive. And, well, she could have spent more years with her husband, starting a family and all of that. There's this guy I mentioned before in the series that he dies during the First World War, or actually shortly after the First World War. He got a medal, he got honor for his service to the British Empire. But he was a guy, he was bisexual, so he had his unnatural urges, and it's those unnatural urges that he got involved in a bad situation and he lost his life. So, what should have happened? That guy should have faced himself and realized, okay, this lifestyle I'm leading, this double life, may not be good for me. I've survived this World War. That has opened my eyes. Many of the people I knew died in this useless war because some British king told us to go and fight against some Germans. So you know what? I'm done with this fighting. Let me improve my life. And the guy had some money as compensation for him fighting in the war, so he was able to start over. He did not do it. He continued in his habits and he was taken out. That founder of that town was killed by one of his own. I believe it was his son. If he would have stopped looking at his titles that the British Navy gave to him, and he would have paid attention to the people around him, would have realized, okay, I have this position of power over here. I'm the founder of this city. I'm the mayor of this new city over here. But some of the people around here want to take me out because they want to take the wealth for themselves. Let me check the people around me. Or he should have realized, okay, he's now the mayor of this new town. There's going to be new wealth, so people may get bad intentions. He didn't look beyond stuff. So, looking to all the characters in the series, it became obvious that all of them were snatched away. They were not meant to die at that age, but they died at that age. And there was no way for them to get back their lives and to restore what happened. And that's the scary part about worldlings. Worldlings often don't check things. They just want to be left alone. And this violence of theirs, because this violence of theirs to want to be left alone is what puts them in positions where they're likely violated and taken out. Now, that theory is fiction, we know that. But how many young women out there end up in bad relationships, or they're even taken out violently in sexual relationships because they don't pay attention, they don't reflect on their own expectations. They like certain guys, but why do they like certain guys? They don't even question themselves, they don't examine themselves. So they keep on following patterns that they're used to and they're taken out. How many people have so called friends in their lives who are secretly angry and bitter against them? Why? Because they advance in life while those so called friends don't want to face themselves. Well, if they don't want to face themselves, then they remain stuck. That's not your fault. But people that remain stuck often want to blame on someone else, and they often blame on those close to them. So what can help you is to examine the type of people you have around you, and if you notice that someone does not want to advance forward, lower contact. Because if they don't want to advance forward, because they don't want to face themselves, they don't want to face the situation, they don't want to process anything, if that's them, then sooner or later they'll project this onto you, and they may turn on you, and they become a menace onto you, or to your children, or to others around you. They'll end up sabotaging you sooner or later. Even if they don't turn on you personally, the fact that they are around you already will hinder you and sabotage you. There are people who lost jobs, they've lost relationships, marriages, they lost businesses, they lost opportunities by having people around them that should have been gone a long time ago. That's why it's important to do a firewall scan on your life from time to time. And there was this other woman who passed away just a few decades ago, and her husband was still alive. She even visited her husband, and her husband recognized her, and her husband thinking, "What? You died decades ago." And in that situation, it also was clear she was not alert. After being raised from death, she still looked quite young. She even went to the place where she lived, but she forgot. Decades passed, so other people lived there. So she was kicked out. And that's the thing with worldlings. They don't look at things from the wider point of view. And let me tell you one thing, believer, you can force them to see things. You can do that with worldlings, but it's likely to backfire on you. So what you can do is you can pray on their behalf that they remain alive, that they're not taken out. You can cover them in that way, that they remain alive. You can even cover their health to some extent, but that's the only thing you can do for worldlings, because you cannot really invest in those people. Some of them are going to be taken out just like that because they just don't want to be real. Now look, if they're taken out, that's wrong. It shouldn't happen, period. But some of them make it too easy for them to be taken out. Look, if a little child is taken out, then the child cannot help it. You can never blame the child. If an adult is taken out, it's not their fault that they've been killed, or they've been killed, that their life has been taken away from them. Nobody should take their life, period. But in some cases, they make it too easy for predators to take their life. For example, the girl that goes to nightclubs every weekend, the same nightclub, dancing in the same spot in the nightclub. You make it very easy for sex predators to predict your behavior, and the only thing they have to do is they have to wait at 3 a.m. when you're walking home and you're taken out. Or what about the guy who always goes to the supermarket on the same day, on Monday? It's very easy for someone to set you up for a crime you did not commit because you have a pattern. So worldlings make themselves too available to danger. Now look, that series I'm talking about, I watched it a while back, so I don't know all the details of it anymore. I'm going to look up what the name is, and I'm going to put the name in the description box so you can check it yourself. Just realize that even pagans understand this. If you are not watchful, I'm not talking about careful. Careful means when you are filled with care because something bad may happen. No, that's why I refrain from using the word careful and I'm using the word watchful. Because watchful is when you're secured and you examine things around you. When you are watchful, you are able to observe things far better. When you're careful, you need to watch out because there may be danger. When you're watchful, you are secured, and because you are secured, you can reflect on things and process things better. When you are watchful, you prevent a lot of harm. So, be watchful, be at peace.